and welcome back to the Procrastination Podcast with your host, Emma. That is Freya in the background. She has a horn, like an animal's horn. I can't remember the animal it's from. Oh, you've got a stick now. Okay. Shall I tell you something really funny, guys? Right? My dog finds these like logs. Okay, so it's not a stick, it's not something really thin, it's a log, so it's quite thick, right? She finds these logs, and now you're gonna have some ASMR dog chewing in the background. But she finds these sticks and these little logs, and she has them for a few days. And what she does with the ends, let me show you what she does. This is going to be no good for the podcast listeners, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to find this interesting. Can I have that, please? Give me a second. I think she's planning to kill me. She's crafting a knife. Look what she does. Can you see? Yeah. Can you see what she does? She sharpens the end of it like this. Oh, a little face. There you go, baby. She's so happy to have that back. Please be quiet when you chew it. So she's like sharpening all these sticks. And, I keep calling them sticks, these logs, right? It's because in Spanish we just call them like palos, right? So she's got these palos, or troncos. And, she's got these logs that she sharpens. And she's got a little collection, and one of them has like it looks like a letter A is written up, like carved into it. There's a letter A, and one of my boyfriend's friends said, "Oh, it's like she's written your name, but it's like just like it's turned around. Do you know what I mean? So it's like." Just the A, like the end of my name, but if you turn it around, there'll be like the EMM. But you just see the A. So it looks like she's written this name, like my name, in this little log, and she's like planning to kill me with it. So we all think that the dog is like secretly crafting shanks. So a shank is, how do you describe a shank? It's basically like a crafted knife or tool or something. Can you please chew that like on the bed? Yeah, on the bed. Thank you very much. Not on the floor. And like in prisons, for example, they may craft a shank. So to craft is to make something like a tool, or could be anything artistic as well, actually. So you craft a tool that's intended to be like a knife, but it's not a knife originally. So you may take some metal and craft that into a sort of knife. Is anything that you turn into a knife, basically, or something that can be used like a knife with the intention of stabbing someone. And we think that Freya is crafting shanks. She's crafting these little knives. So I received. Let me go back. In my last podcast episode, I asked you guys, can you please email me and send me any suggestions, anything you'd like me to talk about on the pod? Now, you guys did not disappoint. You did not let me down whatsoever. So I need to make a note about something, because I want to announce something. And it just came to my mind then, and I know I'm going to forget. But anyway, I asked you guys for more podcast ideas because I'd like to have a bit more of a discussion with you guys. Her chewing is really annoying. Why don't you go to the living room and chew? You go to the Oh, she's so cute. Oh, I can't say no. Please stay. No, you can stay. You can stay. Craft the shank. It's okay. Should I tell you something she does as well? She gets the shank, right? She gets the wood, and instead of putting it like sideways in her mouth like this, no, you can't see on the podcast, but like sideways in her mouth, like a normal dog carries a stick, she puts the shank so it's facing like out of her mouth, pointing forward, with the pointy shank bit like coming towards me, and she will run towards me like, wanting to play, right? And she like runs towards me and then jumps up, and the wood is like, you know, trying to stab me. I think she's trying to kill me. I think my dog is genuinely trying to kill me with this shank. Word of the day, shank. It's also a verb, to shank, regular, shanked. Last night I was shanked by my dog. Can you imagine if I turn up to like the A&E, the accident and emergency, right? The A&E in a Spanish hospital with this piece of wood just, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, my dog." My dog has been crafting these shanks. I don't even know what a shank is in Spanish. How would I even go about that? Shank in español. It just says caña, a cane. Una caña. It says shank, an animal's lower leg. What? The horse had cut marks on its rear shanks. Well, that's a new one for me. I didn't know that one. There's also, a shank of lamb. Oh, I did forget about that. A shank of lamb is like a cut of meat, but from the leg. So, yeah. And then shank, this is it. A homemade knife. Un pincho. A pincho. The robber pulled a shank and told him to hand over his wallet. Yeah, that's going to be Freya. She's going to use these pinchos to kill me. And I'm going to have to go to an A&E room in a Spanish hospital and be like, "See, my dog shanked me with a pincho." Oh, goodness me. They'll be like, "We're just going to deport this girl." She's too much of a burden on the system. But anyway, that's that. So you guys sent me loads of different topics to talk about, which is fantastic. Thank you so much to everyone that sent me different topics. If you want to send me any other suggestions, any topics, anything you want me to talk about, that's not going to be too teachery. For example, don't email me and be like, "Emma, can you please explain present simple?" No, just go on YouTube, type present simple, and just learn it that way, right? This podcast isn't for that. I do enough teaching and grammar as it is. Like, I don't want to do any more. I want to keep this podcast fun. And by fun, I mean not discussing grammar. So, yes, a lot of you, I was very surprised about this, but a lot of you have asked for more ghost stories. So it got me thinking about ghost stories that I could share. And since I left my parents' house when I was younger, I haven't really encountered many ghostly situations. Until recently, of course. So let me talk about a few things that have happened within the past year since we moved into this flat in Spain. So for anyone who doesn't know, I did a podcast episode a few years ago where I talked about different ghostly things that have happened to me, right? And the majority, if not all, I think pretty much all, of these ghostly stories happened when I was younger, when I was a kid, right? So, just penciled my microphone. I moved to Spain a year ago into a flat that's it's not like super old. I think it was built in like the 70s or something like that. And our landlord, who I keep meaning to ask about this, but I need to phrase it in a nice way. And when your language skills, when it's not your when it's not your first language, it can be a bit tricky trying to phrase things in a nicer way to not cause any offense or anything like that. But essentially this building, it was just one floor, like many years ago, it was one floor, just the flat downstairs. And over the years, they built more floors. So there are 3 floors altogether. You've got the ground floor, which has been converted into one flat, the middle floor, which has been converted into another flat, and then the top floor, which is our flat, is its own flat, right? So there are 3 flats but the landlord owns ours and the ground floor. The middle floor is to this young couple. It's a young couple's one, right? Anyway, that's just to give a bit of context. The landlord used to live here many, many years ago. He grew up in this building, right? And his dad added these floors and converted it, which explains some questionable work that has been done in here. Once he said, yeah, my dad built this place, I was like, that explains quite a few things. Anyway, so he, of course, has kind of mentioned things about his dad not being around anymore. And no, she's having a drink. Can this dog, can she just like have a nap? Just like stop existing for like 30 minutes. Anyway, she lives here, she exists here. We've got to deal with her noises. She doesn't understand podcasting. But anyway, going back to the story. That just gives a bit of a background about this flat, right? Now, last year in August, we got Freya, my dog, the one that's being a pain in the arse in the background, right? She's gorgeous. Absolutely love Freya. Apple of my eye, right? I love her so much. One night, this was maybe when we'd only had her for a few months. So we got her in August, and then this probably happened September, October, maybe like November time or something like that. I remember it was a time where it was, quite cold at night. So maybe November, December or something like that. So I was laying in bed, like trying to keep warm. And Freya was laying next to me in the bed. And all of a sudden, I was just on my phone, probably scrolling TikTok or some shit, I don't know. And all of a sudden, Freya starts looking at the side of the bed. And I'm on the left-hand side of the bed. I'm laid up, left-hand side of the bed. And she's looking towards the right. And there's just a wall there. There's nothing there. There's just a wall. At times, there are maybe clothes on the floor or something like that. But there's nothing on the wall. What I'm trying to say is, she was just looking at a blank wall. There's no picture or anything on this wall. It is white. It is a blank wall. And all of a sudden, this cute little puppy, and Freya is the sweetest dog, the loveliest, the kindest dog. I swear, if she were a human, she would be the gentlest human you've ever met. She's just so sweet, so loving, so cuddly, so nice. She starts growling. And I'm thinking, I've never heard her growl like that. Unless when we're playing tug of war or something, she's like, "Arr!" But you can tell it's like a playful growl. But there she is growling with this really, really nasty growl. And if you're not sure what a growl is, it's the noise that a dog makes where it's like, "Arr, arr." So she was doing that, but she sounded really pissed off. And this is just a little puppy. Keep this in mind. She's getting really, really pissy at this wall. Then she starts barking. Freya never barks. Never. The only time she barks is if we're winding her up and playing with her and, we have a toy and we're like, shouting and playing and stuff. And even then, she doesn't bark much. She's not a barky dog. That's not a correct word at all. But she really doesn't bark much. So this instantly creeped me the fuck out. And she's just looking at this wall, barking and growling. And really, you could see she was really, really anxious. She could see something. She could see something. And I didn't want to look. It was nighttime, but there was a light, so I could still see. But I was thinking, I really kind of don't want to look up. I'm so scared. So it was just like, no, Freya, calm down, Freya. What's wrong? And she wouldn't even let me touch her. She was really, really ready to attack. And this is a lovely dog, apart from crafting shanks to potentially murder me one day. She's a lovely dog. So that creeped me the fuck out. Now, my boyfriend was in the next room. He was playing a game. He had his headphones on. And when he has his headphones on, he can't hear shit, right? So I'm shouting him because I'm actually... Freya! Because I'm actually too scared to get out of bed at this point. And Freya almost won't let me get out of bed. She's really, really... this shank... You are so annoying. Oh, you got the horn now. Can you please have it there? Thank you very much. Oh, she's hidden the shank under the pillow. The fact that she's crafting these shanks. Oh my god. And don't worry, she doesn't eat the wood. Okay, she just spits it out like all over the floor, and then I have to sweep up all this fucking wood everywhere. It gets in my shoes and everything. It gets in the bed. It gets everywhere. So yeah, I'm there shouting my boyfriend like, Nico, like in the top of my lungs because he can't hear me. He's fucking deaf when he's got his headphones on, right? Nico, Ben, I'm scared. There's a ghost. I'm a phantasma. And then he comes in. He's like, what's wrong? What the fuck's happened? What the fuck's happened? I'm like, Freya's freaking. Freya, por favor. She's just like staring at me like. It's like, what's wrong? What's happened? I was like, yeah, Freya's just been like freaking out. Freya's freaking out. She's like barking at the wall. He's like, well, she seems okay now. It's like, yes, since you walked in, she stopped. She calmed down. But before, she was going fucking mental. And my boyfriend was like, oh, it's a ghost. I'm like, don't joke. Do not joke about this. Freya, por favor. Look at this. Look at this skanky ass horn that she's got. Look at it. It stinks. You stink. It's disgusting, but she absolutely loves these things. Like, the stinkier the toy, the better. So that's one thing that's happened. And that wasn't the only time when something creeped me out about this flat. Before we got Freya, we'd been living in this flat since around... I think we'd been living in the flat for about 2 months at that point. Before we got Freya, and before that instance happened, it was 4, 5, 6 months or something like that before when we moved in. And I remember sometimes waking up in the night, and you know that creepy feeling you get, like, I feel like there's someone else in this room. It's really hard to explain to people who don't experience this, but when you're in a room and then someone walks in, you can kind of feel it, like you can hear it almost. It's so hard to explain, but people who feel this, they will know exactly what I mean. But if you're sitting in a room and someone walks in, you can like hear it almost. And I'm not talking about physical footsteps, like, yeah, of course you could hear them coming to the room. No, I'm talking about there's like something with the Freya. Right, seriously, you're gonna have to go up, babes. You're gonna have to go. She's guarding the little shank. I'm not gonna take away the shank, but you are being very annoying. Oh, she's just looking at me like. Why don't you go to sleep? Have a little nap. Come on. Eres española. You're Spanish. Why don't you have a siesta? Eh? You are the most Spanish girl I know. We were joking the other day. She is more Spanish than me and my boyfriend. My boyfriend isn't even Spanish, like, technically. The dog is more Spanish than my boyfriend. Okay. I thought she was going to start chewing on the floor, but no, she's not. So, yeah, I always had this kind of feeling like, it's like a buzzing, it's like a ringing noise when someone enters a room. It's really hard to describe. I've tried to explain it to my boyfriend, and he's been like, I've got no fucking clue what you're talking about, Emma. Like, what do you mean it's ringing? When someone enters a room, it starts to ring. I'm like, you just don't get it. You don't get it. So, yeah, I kind of used to feel that. I'd be in the living room, and I'd feel like a ringing sound, like someone is coming into the room, like, oh, there's someone else in here. And since we've got Freya, sometimes she would sit on the sofa, like sometimes she sits on the sofa with me and like looks towards the door, like someone else is coming in, and we both look at the same time, like there's no one there. There's no one freaking there. And then the other thing, now this happened very, very recently. This happened maybe, God, when was it? I think it was just last week. It was just last week. I was half asleep. So it was early in the morning. I was awake, but a bit asleep. I was half awake, half asleep. Right? And I had this weird dream. It's one of those dreams you have that feel really real because you're half awake, half asleep. And oh God, it's my neighbour slamming the door. I had this dream that there was someone standing at the foot of my bed. Now, what I mean when I say the foot of my bed is at the end of the bed, where your feet are, right? We call it the foot of the bed. So there was someone at the foot of the bed, a man at the foot of the bed in my dream. And he was just watching me sleep. And I woke up and I could hear Freya going, like make this noise, like she's kind of growling, but her mouth is closed. So it's not like a full like through her teeth, but something had disgruntled her. Something had annoyed her. And again, she's a very calm dog. So for her to make these noises, it's not often. It's not a thing she does. She's not a noisy dog apart from when she's, when I'm recording a podcast episode and she wants to chew her fucking bones around me on the noisiest, scratchiest bed ever. She's gone now. I think she's gone exploring around the flat. But, yeah, she was looking, and you could probably guess where, at the foot of the bed. And this creeped me out, because I was just dreaming, let's say, of a man standing at the foot of the bed, and she was growling, and she had like, I don't know how to explain her ears. They're like floppy at her ears, but when she's she's like just gone round the balcony to here. Now she's watching me through the window. Oh, she's such a creep. She really is. The best ghost hunter I know, though. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. I keep going off topic, but she is really distracting me today. So I see Freya with her ears kind of like pointed up. And she only does that when she's really alert or really excited about something. So the fact, again, that she's looking at this blank wall, there's nothing there, and she's looking at the foot of the bed with her ears pointed up, and she's going, and she's like kind of doing these movements, like quick movements, like she's getting ready to not attack, but ready to stand up, ready to move. And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. My God. So yeah, creepy. I don't know. I don't know what has happened with this flat. And this brings me back to the story that I mentioned at the beginning, that this flat, as I said, was owned by the landlord's dad, and then he died. And then he had the flat. So it makes me wonder if our bedroom was perhaps his bedroom or something, and maybe he died in there. So, how does one ask their landlord if their father died in our bedroom? It's a bit of a sensitive question. How did your father die? Did he die in our room? Like, it's hard. It's hard to do. When I was living in the previous flats, the one in Bristol, where I had like the creepy stuff sometimes happen in the alley behind our house, And I asked the landlord straight up, like, I don't mean this in like a funny way, but I've been meaning to ask you, has anyone ever died down this alleyway? And they just looked at each other and looked at me like, no, we've never heard of anything, no stories. But I definitely felt and definitely sensed something in that fucking alleyway. It used to creep me out. It used to creep me out so much that I didn't want to look out of the kitchen window. And when I don't want to look out of windows, that is a sign that there's something there. So yeah, those are my creepy stories. I don't really have any more, so when people ask me for creepy stories, we'll just have to wait another year and hopefully some more have popped up. But I do have another one written here, actually, another creepy story. This isn't to do with Freya. Oh, it's getting quite dark. I better turn on a light. It gets dark so quickly. Oh, bloody hell. That'll do. That's the worst lighting ever, but never mind. My dad used to have a dog called Jake. Rest his soul, bless him. He died a few years ago, and my dad only had him for maybe a year or so. He was adopted, so he was already quite old, and then his previous owners, I think something happened. They were quite an old couple, and one of them got really, really sick, and the other one had to look after the other. Does that make sense? So I think the wife was sick, and then the husband had to take care of the wife. And because he was constantly having to take care of his wife, the poor dog started getting neglected. He couldn't take the dog out for a walk anymore because he couldn't leave his wife unattended. He couldn't take care of the dog, give the dog as much attention as before because, well, the wife would always take all the attention, you know. So he ended up having to get rid of the dog and sent the dog to an adoption center, and that's how my dog. That's how my dog got a dog. That's how my dad got Jake. That's how my dad got this dog. And one day my dad was out. I think he was at a gig or something. A gig is another word for a concert, right? A musical concert is a gig. So my dad was at this gig. And he likes going to like heavy metal concerts and stuff. My dad's like really big into heavy metal. So he went to like a heavy metal concert, and it just left me in the house with Jake and my two brothers who still live with my dad, but they were upstairs. And I was sitting downstairs with Jake, and we all know, if you listen to my previous podcast episode, that my parents' house, my dad's house, only my dad lives there now, it was haunted as shit. Right? It is a fucking understatement to say that, but it is so haunted, I swear to God. And this dog would sit in the living room looking at me, and then all of a sudden just move his head up. So instead of looking at me, I'd be like, oh, Jake, you know, being all like nice with Jake and whatever. He wouldn't be looking at me. He would be looking above me. And at first I thought, maybe this dog's just a bit stupid, or maybe he's got something wrong with his eyes or something like that. So I started to do it in different rooms, or like in the kitchen or outside. So I'd be like, oh, Jake. But he would look at me. He would look at my face. And it was just from time to time, when we'd be in the living room together, where he would just look just above me, or just to the side of me, like there was someone else next to me. Or someone or something above me. Oh, it used to creep me the fuck out. It's giving me fucking goosebumps right now. I swear to God, I fucking hate this whole stuff. But you guys love it. So yeah, that's Jake's story. And bless his soul. Such a cutie. He was so lovely. He was a black and white Sprocker Spaniel. A Sprocker Spaniel, which is like a crossbreed, I think, between a Springer Spaniel and something else? A Springer Spaniel and a something else. He was a Sprocker Spaniel. So it's like a mixed breed dog. So yeah, he ended up, what happened to him? I think he started just getting really poorly. And with old age dogs, like old dogs, they get sick really, really quickly. 1 week they're absolutely fine, and the next week they get a little infection and bam, they're dead. Unfortunately, dogs can sometimes die super fast, especially when they're old, and they're so susceptible to certain things depending on their breed. So once these certain things start to kick in when they're older, they can go downhill very quickly. A lot of phrasal verbs in that. To go downhill, to get worse. And to kick in means to begin, to start something. So, or take effect. I think to take effect is the best way to describe that one. Like if you take a paracetamol, you normally need to wait 20 minutes for it to kick in. You need to wait 20 minutes for it to take effect. So yeah, that's that. Those are my ghost stories. I think that's it for this podcast episode. I was also going to answer some other questions. Some people asked about things related to Easter, but I have an exciting announcement that I want to make. And I'm going to be, you see this microphone here? This one, right? This huge ball. That's my face. For podcast listeners, you can't see, but half of my screen is taken up by this mic. I am, for the first time in about 4 years, upgrading my microphone because I would like to take my podcasting a little bit more seriously. I would like to focus on doing more live streams, so I'd like a better microphone. And I'd like to get back into doing Twitch live streams as well, which I used to do. And I would stream video games and teach English with video games, but I stopped because I just got too busy and life takes over. You plan to do these things and then you just get so many other things coming up that you end up not doing those things you want to do. So yeah, I'd like to get back into doing that more. So I will be upgrading my podcast mic. I tried to order a microphone today on Amazon and it came up with this alert. Now my Amazon account is actually my boyfriend's name. So it's not my account, it is my boyfriend's account, but we both use it. It's a joint account, if that makes sense. So it is connected to his card. And I wanted to buy this mic. I wanted to buy a new arm. So this here, you can see it on YouTube. This here is the arm. Like arm as in the arm on your body. So it's the thing that holds the microphone. So I wanted to get a microphone arm, the microphone, and there was something else that I wanted to get. Oh, what was it? Anyway, so something else like stream YouTube-y related. It was just a cable. It was just a cable for my microphone. That was it. On some matcha tea. I want to get back into drinking matcha tea. So fucking expensive is matcha tea. My God. But anyway, I got some of that because I wanted to treat myself. I rarely buy myself things. I rarely buy myself things to treat myself. I think the last thing I bought to treat myself was, I don't know. I really don't know. Probably my headphones, actually, were the last thing I bought to treat myself, and they were 40 euros. So that for me, spending 40 euros is a treat for myself, buying some new headphones. So yeah, I rarely buy myself nice new things. So I'm quite excited for all of those to come. And I wanted to save podcast episodes about Easter and things like that for the new mic. So this week, of course, is this podcast episode about the ghost stories and Freya being a pain in the ass in the background. But it's funny because she's gone quiet now. Hope she's not like jumped off the balcony or something. Done some balconing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but there's this thing that tends to be what English tourists do. So English people, young English people, come from the UK to come from England to Spain on holiday. They go to like Magaluf or Shagaloof, as they call it. To shag means to have sex in a slang way, okay? So they call it Shagaloof because it's like you go there to party and have sex, okay? So yeah, Shagaloof. Where else? Benidorm. Oh, what's the other one? there's another place. There's Malaga. Oh, Fuengirola. Fuengirola. Salou is another one. So anyone from Spain, you'll be chuckling right now because you know that these are not how they're pronounced in Spanish. But yeah, so we call them Shagaloof, Benidorm, Fuengirola, and Salou. And yeah, English people go to these places typically on holiday and jump off balconies into swimming pools. And of course, they end up either killing themselves or paralyzing themselves completely. And it's called balconing. So yeah, fun little fact there. And it is, when I see these stories in the news where it's like, don't worry, I'm not laughing at people dying off a balcony. I'm just laughing at how fucking stupid they are and how embarrassing the whole thing is. But friends of mine, they do say to me, like, how do you feel when this happens? Like, why do people do it? I'm like, I don't fucking know because I don't do it. Why are you asking me? Ask the people who do it. But yeah, some people, I think they're just young and they're stupid and they go to another country and they think that they are invincible and that they can do what they want. So yeah, they just end up balconing. They end up jumping off these balconies into swimming pools. It fails. And yeah, they end up either dying or being severely paralyzed, or if they're fortunate enough, perhaps breaking something. I think that would be the most fortunate thing to happen in that situation. But yeah, if you've never heard of that, Google it. Take a look on Google and you'll see cases of balconing. And they normally say in Spain, they're so morbid at the Spanish, I fucking love it. But they'll say in Spain that when the first balconing happens, it's the start of the summer. Like, for fuck's sake. So yeah, as I said, not laughing at people dying, but I am laughing at how fucking stupid some people are, I swear. So that is it for this podcast episode. I did also want to talk about some other things as well. Some things about Easter. Someone mentioned about that. The person who, well, one of the people, who is it that suggested ghost stories? So one person emailed about the ghost stories, but loads of people left comments on YouTube and in my Instagram DMs saying like, we want more ghost stories. So yeah, thank you, Alice. She says, hi, Emma. I want to hear more ghost stories. I really enjoy listening to our last episode on ghost stories. Thanks. So thank you, Alice. Thank you so much. I will mark yours as completed. So that is that. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast episode and it's not creeped you out too much. It's got dark really, really quickly. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that it's quite dark now. And my shadow looks a bit creepy behind me, actually. Looks like someone's there. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking shit. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Next episode, I hope I will get my podcast mic. Oh my god, I never finished telling you the story. So I got completely sidetracked. I tried to order stuff on Amazon and it wouldn't let me. It needed my boyfriend's permission. What world are we living in where I need my man's permission? But no, it was because of the bank account. So now I'm having to wait longer. So hopefully we can order everything this week and then I can practice using it, setting it up, getting my setup all done, and start doing some recording with a new microphone. It's the first time I've upgraded my mic in 4 years. It's long overdue, but microphones are really freaking expensive. I know that this one's like a few hundred, so it's an investment in your guys' ears, all right? So I hope that you enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone, and I'll see you in the next podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening, and if you want to write to me with any suggestions or anything you like, then you can email me at theprocrastinationpod@gmail.com. I will leave it down in the description, okay? See you later, guys. Bye-bye.